Hello everyone, welcome back to Trek-A-Day. Some Star Trek news just hit that I thought was worth discussing. I'd love to hear what you think. A lot of news has been trickling out in regards to various Star Trek projects that are in the works and other ones that are ongoing and entering their final stages, as Paramount Plus itself is in the process of possibly either being bought out or merged. So much in limbo right now, which is why I think stuff like Star Trek Legacy is itself in limbo, because the future of Star Trek and where its place is going to be is not quite solid right now. So we have one announcement that I don't find surprising, another one that I do. Star Trek Lower Decks, the 5th season, is now officially going to be the final season and will be premiering this fall. I expected that to be the case. The one that I'm actually surprised about is Strange New Worlds has been renewed for a 4th season. I'm a little surprised because it genuinely, with everything kind of in flux right now, feels like a lot of these shows are wrapping up, kind of bringing everything to a momentary pause before a lot of final decisions are made about the future of what's going on with Star Trek as Paramount goes through its changes. So I thought that maybe Strange New Worlds would either be canceled or just sort of in limbo with a little bit of a longer break until things settle and a 4th season coming later. So I am a little surprised to see it officially renewed before the 3rd season comes out, but maybe that's a good sign. Maybe that means that there is a lot of positivity behind the 3rd season, and maybe it's seen as a strong asset that will maybe kind of headline the next stage of what's going on with Star Trek. We will see. The one thing that I'm really worried about with Strange New Worlds, I've talked about the one element that I found disappointing, is that I wanted a show that's focused on Pike and his crew, especially a lot of those original characters, to truly be focused on Pike and those characters. If you're going to do that show, like, I'd rather have a show that takes place in the future. Give me Legacy, give me stuff that go beyond the end of Picard, that era. But if you're going to do a show in that era, give the spotlight to those characters. And I felt like there's been a little bit too much shoehorning in of TOS stuff, Kirk in particular, and we already know the actor is coming back for this new version of Scotty, and it really feels like they keep adding these elements. They're building up to the point where I think they're going to try and transform Strange New Worlds into a TOS, and that feels so unnecessary. Just a weird direction to take things, which I hope they don't go, but I just have this feeling that that's kind of direction where it's headed, especially given a 4th season. So we will see, though. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see the 3rd season next year, 2025, of Strange New Worlds, and see where they really are taking it. And I'm looking forward to seeing the final season of Lower Decks. Again, that feels kind of weird to say for a show that I felt started with a genuinely terrible premiere, and it's a show that really doesn't, I don't really share the sense of humor in general that show has, but at the same time, it's really won me over, being a show that has its heart in the right place for someone who has enjoyed Star Trek his entire life, to where I ended up kind of loving the show. And I did a whole video talking about that, but it's just weird to think that I'll actually kind of be a bit bittersweet seeing it end, wondering where it could have gone beyond that point. But I hope that they end on a really strong season, so I have high hopes for that. And that's what I wanted to talk about here, and then I'll come back eventually, talk a little bit more about some of the things going on with all those different movie projects, because there's one that has me kind of scratching my head, there's some really interesting, somewhat baffling decisions going on behind the scenes, and it'll be nice a few years from now, I think by 2025, 2026, somewhere around that spot, hopefully things will settle on the business end so that things can get a little more settled on the creative side, and we can really get a clearer vision of where Star Trek is going from this point.